KO.
Welcome back to TripleKO. It is KO of, a trio style variety. I'm of course joined by Justin his headphones there. Maximilian.
What?
Justin Wong. Maximilian representing.
I'm home.
You're home. So I want to do this like new segment where
Is Justin going to be around?
A little bit. It's like that where it's like Justin says where he's going, says when the time is, like just the general state, country, whatever, but he doesn't say what he's there for, and we guess whether it's fighting games or K-pop. And we just try to see if we get it, because it's one or the other, it seems.
I mean, I was at a K-pop concert literally last weekend with the wife, so you're not wrong, but I think moving forward, it's going to be more fighting game stuff for sure.
Okay. Where did you actually go to eat in Atlanta? I saw you taking suggestions. I suggested the Vortex, which is a really good burger place, but where did you actually wind up that night?
So I was only there for like pretty much a day and change. So I landed, I went to this place called Louisiana Bistro, and I only know of that place because there was a really huge like old school tournament that's been around for a very long time called Final Round, and we would go there to eat every night. So the fact that it still exists after the pandemic, still popping, still popular, that was great. And then after the concert, it's past midnight, we have no other place to eat. So we got to go for the infamous cheap Waffle House. Waffle House. And the best part about the Waffle House was when I tweeted it out, literally 90% of the comments were like, yo, be safe.
Be safe, exactly.
Parry a chair.
Everyone sees Waffle House and assumes it's going to be a King of Fighters stage.
Yeah, I'm like, it's normal, I guess. I don't know.
I saw that photo of you and I was going to write be safe or like be holding back the entire time. Keep holding block just in case. But I was like, I'm sure the mentions and I'm sure the comments are all going to be that anyway. So I'm glad I was right on that.
Waffle House is where Marvel players learn to chicken block. I'll be here all night, everybody.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like literally there was a meme of like people parrying chairs and everything.
Yeah.
I think that's why people are like, yo, be careful, Waffle House. And I don't know about the King of Fighters stage. Why do people refer as a fighting game stage? Is there a meme for that?
So there's a meme. For some reason, at Waffle House, it's a place that gets rowdy AF. Where, for some reason, there's always like back alley brawls and stuff that go down in a Waffle House. And it's a place that generally, like, people just get pissed off at each other. So,
but why KOF specifically?
Because KOF is a stage that like always is a game that always takes place on like city stages and shit.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in front of Neo Geo Land.
Exactly.
Shit.
Yeah. It was actually pretty funny because like while we're eating there, the place started getting busy, and then literally like the worker was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm leaving right now. I don't want to work anymore." And I'm like, uh-oh. Like it's about to start, and I'm like, I think it's time to leave before anything else happens. But yeah, it was a pretty fun experience overall.
And then all of a sudden, like a select screen shows up. It's like, select your team,
right? And you got the Saisu and Rugal just coming out of nowhere.
Admittedly, I've been to of all the restaurants in my life, and this is I have my 20s to thank for this. I've probably eaten at Denny's more than anywhere in my entire life. And yes, Waffle House and Denny's share some similarities. You could go there at like the ass early of the morning because you're a degenerate bitch and you need some pancakes or something. So yeah, I've definitely been to a Denny's at like 2 or 3 a.m. and it's packed to shit and people are just, fuck you, give me your stupid fucking order, you stupid ugly bitch. What the fuck, you want some fucking pancakes? Fine. Like, people were straight mad that you keep coming in and ordering food.
I got Denny's out. Like,
I can't stand Denny's.
I haven't gone in years and years, but like I was obsessed for a bit because there's no Denny's like anywhere where I live, so it's all over the U.S. So I just kind of exhausted. I got burnt out. My burnt out meter just and I'm all gray and
I just can't stand Denny's because growing up playing in FGC tournaments, like
you always go there,
traveling around, like you have no choice but to go to Denny's.
Yep.
Like this is before like fast food places became 24 hours. So like the only restaurant you can go to was Denny's, like in little middle of nowhere, Illinois, Atlanta, like everything like that. Just Denny's. So I'm like,
I don't even know if that's like direct FGC thing. It's like an arcade struggle where it's like you have all your friends in an arcade and it closes at like 2 a.m. Man, we're all hungry. Where do we go? And there's just always the glow of a Denny's sign like right around the horizon.
Yellow, like a bright yellow.
There it is.
The amount of people I see order Superbird is just too insane. I'm just tired of seeing Superbird on
or Moons
people's
over
plates.
my hammy.
Yeah, it's just
if you guys have never done this, it's like I think I mentioned when I was in Florida around when CEO or WrestleMania was happening a few years ago. It was like go to one of these places again with Europeans, and you'll see like you'll be reintroduced to the magic and wonder because they're so flabbergasted at everything. Like everything's new to them. They're like, "You put what in what?
You crazy weirdos!"
It's chicken and waffles." And they're like, "Oh, slow down, egghead. What are you talking about?" So I went with some guys from Ireland, OSW reviews, and they're like looking at the soda fountain and like trying to figure out what it was. Like, what is this?
There was recently, I mean, before we get started and we're just hanging out and talking about and shooting the shit for the week that we don't get to see each other, there was a meme on Twitter where somebody from Europe was like somebody in America saying, you know, well, I got to stop getting all of my drinking water from sodas. I should start drinking water. And some Europeans like what? Like, you only get your hydration from drinking soda? What?
We were talking about getting old before, and it's like I stopped drinking soda like as a refreshing thing.
Yeah.
Like in college. Like that's when I stopped, and I loved Orange Crush. Orange Crush is like still the GOAT. Fucking the GOAT.
Yeah.
And whenever I see Orange Crush, I'll want it. I'll never get it. It's like maybe I'll put a little in like a alcoholic drink every so often, but even then I'm like, no, soda's done for
Bitch,
me.
it took
like,
me until I was like 33.
Old video games.
no. I feel like for me when I go to tournaments, because I choose not to eat because I don't like eating, because if I eat I get sleepy and then my reactions are bad. At tournaments, I still have to drink some type of caffeinated drink.
That's actually scientifically proven. Like I hate to like give Red Bull props or something like that, but one of the best things you can actually do before tournaments, and this isn't recommended just to start, you know, kegging down Red Bulls or Cokes, but
the Pumco, bro.
if you get a glucose stimulus right before matches, apparently sugar spikes help you react faster, and that is actually like scientifically like good for reaction times and shit like that. Granted, yeah, it's going to give you wings for a moment. The crash after is going to suck, but you know, it does technically work that way.
You get wings for 2.5 matches, but not more than that.
Yes,
it's like Goku's Ultra Instinct.
And then you literally hit burnout, and you better hope your back isn't to the corner.
No, that's literally how I do it, and it's crazy because like I didn't research this. It was just kind of just like, let me just try this. Yeah, let me just try it, and then it worked.
It's true.
I'm glad we brought it back around to fighting games now, because our chapter selection for the YouTube video is going to be like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Waffle House. Like,
Waffle House.
The Waffle House legacy.
So, speaking of legacy, our first topic today is a character from Street Fighter V named Rashido, except not really, because his theme is terrible compared to his Street Fighter V theme.
Rashido.
So that is, dude, I'm just looking at, granted, I kind of agree his new theme is like, it's kind of snoozy in comparison to how like big, boisterous, and epic the old one is.
It was too hype.
Yeah.
It was never gonna live up to it.
I'm looking at this battle pass, which I did buy, and I got this Rashid costume bullshit, and I unlocked it all, and I'm done with it, and I'm like, man, how nice would it be if in these battle passes they just put in songs? How nice would it be if like those songs could be unlocked and actually used in matches and shit?
I think we mentioned this last time. Like that would be an ideal like solution to the songs, because you can get the songs, but they don't do much.
There would be Rashid's song, you know, and you can just make it that this stage always plays Rashid's song, or whatever you fight this, like whatever, man. Like that feels like a guarantee.
You gotta take the King of Fighters 15. What they did with the jukebox, that's what should be in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah.
But then for the battle pass, right? Like you just get the costume and like pretty much that's it, right? Like
That's
the
about
outfit.
it. And like his headpiece, his eye gear from the previous game, because she doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah. So when
okay.
Akuma comes out, his pre-release battle pass thing should be like you get every single Akuma theme.
That would be amazing. Third Strike Akuma theme, SF4 Akuma theme, Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
Fighter Alpha 2.
Dude, just litter that throughout like his battle pass. Capcom, please.
So
Like,
good.
I'm gonna send some emails after this. Like, please, this is ridiculous.
Like you can't really do that with a new character. Like Rashid has one theme, and you certainly can't do it with like Aki, I guess.
Yeah.
Or even Ed has his one
yeah.
theme. But
Sure.
For legacy characters that have had a bunch, like why not?
Yeah.
Like just getting new generation music or Second Impact in Akuma's case. But
Do you get like emotes or like stickers? Because I know you can
do.
buy that.
for sure.
Okay. Because that would be pretty cool. Is like for the battle pass, just adding more like different character emotes, like 8-bit style, 16-bit, or like modern.
And I can't remember if that's directly involved in Rashid's pass, but it is something that has been throughout like battle passes so far of the couple. The summer one had a couple of things in there too, and I think it's just like stickers you can put on your clubs and all that kind of stuff when you customize those visuals. But yeah, Rashid looks really good in terms of just like visuals and animation, and like I think he arguably might have some of the best secondary animations we've seen of a character in a fighting game, because he has like 7 or 8 different like accoutrements on his costume that flow and just essentially rely on physics for the stuff to not collide with each other and look like shit like clothing does in Street Fighter 5. It seemed like Rashid is a direct answer to that, where it's like, oh yeah, well, this was a big problem, those clipping and nastiness that happened in the previous game. We're gonna fix that. Look at this guy.
Like
And
even in story mode of Street Fighter 5, even in baked cutscenes,
it was always bad.
Shit just going crazy. Just I think it was more like a challenge. Like let's put the most shit on him. And he has all these crazy movements and double jumps. And I think Max said this before. Oh no, he's hot as well.
Yeah, he's so
Like,
beautiful. What the hell?
It's the
is he
hair.
doing?
It's the hair thing he got going on.
Yeah.
That's
like
beautiful.
Because before it was like him versus Shaheen, and Shaheen way hotter at the time versus Tekken 7 versus Street Fighter 5. Now it's neck and neck. They
Now he's
both
got like the charm of an early 2000s DreamWorks character. It's like, get away from me.
Yeah.
like God, what's that one DreamWorks animated movie that Brad Pitt was in, and it was like a swashbuckling adventure. It was like mid 2000s and still 2D animated. Like everyone in that is hot. Not Road to El Dorado.
I was saying Road to El Dorado.
Okay, that's a good one too. They're hot, but like there's another one, Sinbad. He was in an animated Sinbad movie. Everyone was stupid hot. Like it was crazy.
I think visually he looks ridiculously cool. I find it funny that the bigger issue that's been sort of arising since his announcement is the fact that he's going to be OP as shit, and it's like, dude, like the frame data could be adjusted like in 1 digit in either direction between him being OP as shit and not. Like it's probably. I feel like the devs have a pretty good idea of what makes characters like hella good, and I don't know if he's just going to turn into like another Ken, Jury, Cammy situation, characters that just zip across and make you just play close range. Guess this shit, dude. I don't know if he's going to do that.
Well, I guess like it though.
I guess it just depends on how they approach DLC. Do they want people to really buy this character? Because like they don't want to make another Alex where he just completely just sucks and tanks, and then like, you know, so you have to make Rashid like at least minimum like high mid tier
For sure.
right, for sure. So like the fact that he has double jumps, he has all this different type of movement. Like I couldn't even count how many seconds that he actually stayed on the ground. The whole trailer was him always in the air doing some type of crazy movement. You know, they also brought back his natural run like he had in Street Fighter 5. So that means he doesn't even have a dash. So like, and that run was just so hard to just like stop in Street Fighter 5 trying to check it with like a button. So there's definitely a lot of movement in his favor. So I can imagine that Drive Rush would be extremely very good with him. All his stuff is really good. Even his supers, like his level 1 super looks cool as shit.
Yeah, it's very fast, but
it's like an alternate version of Ken's like big Dragon Lash kick.
Yeah. So that's really cool. Obviously, they showed his level 2. His level 2 super is his V-Trigger 1 from Street Fighter 5. They showed it as a combo. I'm actually curious on how long that bad boy stays on the screen. Just throw it out. Right?
And I think Street Fighter 6 in the month-ish we've been playing it has shown that these characters with these like level 2 install supers that emulate Street Fighter 5 stuff is pretty good. Almost like all of them, like Jury and Blanca especially, like damn, they are pretty good when they activate that shit.
Yeah. So what do you there's also that like kind of divisive thing of people saying, he shouldn't be at Evo. I mean, he is Evo. He's going to be Evo legal. And some people kind of feeling one way or another about that. I'm not sure if you guys weighed in on that yet.
So, I mean, and unfortunately, you have to think of it from the perspective of like Capcom. And while this is an esport game, it is a game that has sold 2 million copies in its first month. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So what is the goal of having Rashid be at Evo? They want him to be there.
Yeah.
They want his ass to be showing up in top 8. They want people to look at this character like, man, this wasn't in the game when I bought it, and I haven't gone back to Street Fighter 6 since. I better go buy this because this guy looks really fun. So you have to think from their perspective on a marketing gimmick. That Evo essentially is marketing for Street Fighter 6. $1 million prize pool is marketing for Street Fighter 6. That's what this all is. Even if he is top tier as holy shit, I don't think they want 17 Leroys in, 17 Rashids in that position. But still, it's there to sell people on the game and sell people on the DLC.
Yeah, I personally doubt that we will see a Leroy situation where like everybody is going to be playing Rashid at Evo. It's just way too soon. People are still trying to master their characters themselves. So yeah, I mean, we'll see like a few people that will play Rashid. They will definitely make it on stream just because it's for the views and everything like that. But I think Rashid being legal Evo is kind of whatever. I think from a competitive standpoint, it's cool. Like if you're mad about Rashid, then you can play Rashid yourself as a competitor and then do the same thing to people.
Yeah. It's not locked off to certain people. Like you can get him if you want. You can even rent him just for Evo.
Yeah,
just
and
rent him out.
And it's 2 weeks. Like if it was like maybe like the day before.
If it was a week, it'd be a problem.
Yeah, like that type of thing. And then I think for like production, from the viewing standpoint, commentating standpoint, it's all like a blessing. It's all like people are gonna be super hype if they see a Rashid. But I just think overall, Street Fighter 6, 7,000 people at Evo.
7,000, yeah.
7,000. Everyone is just gonna be hype, regardless if there's a Rashid or not.
Yeah, and I think we have to give like Street Fighter 6 the benefit of the doubt here because it's a game that in the first month where the variance of top tiers has changed like dramatically. As far as what people feel is who is really good, and it still doesn't actually seem like we know. Obviously, Cammy at the moment is crazy good, and she's one of the better characters up there with like Jury and maybe like DJ, and obviously Ken. But even though Ken isn't showing up in a ton of big tournaments yet, which is really weird, JP is obviously one of the best characters in the game too, but in some previous tournament situations didn't show up in a top 20. So I feel like the system mechanics in SF6 kind of cover its own ass. Which is good. You kind of need that in some fighting games that give characters these crazy bullshit that they can do, where it's like, man, how are you supposed to block against that? Well, you have a lot of defensive options, and whether you're using it at the right time is all up to you. And most likely, I'm going to say Rashid falls into that line where it's like, how the hell do you block these crazy ass cross-ups? Oh, that's right. I literally have a Mortal Kombat block button in this game.
Yep, pretty much. And then I think the beauty about Street Fighter 6, and then like I made a tier list recently about it. And I realized, I'm like, man, there's actually no real bad characters in this game. Like literally, this probably might be the only fighting game that I remember or recall that has to be the most balanced at launch.
For sure.
Like, yeah, there's no super OP characters where the bottom characters can't do anything about. Like,
and obviously, I'm assuming you put Geef like at the lowest.
Yeah.
But still, he's crazy good. Like
exactly,
like in the hands of people that are good with grapplers, like you feel like you just can't stop him from walking forward. It's like, what the fuck do I do? So it's nuts how they have a game once again that covers itself, but it's just fascinating to see how it's evolving. Like what's going to change after Evo, you know?
And in Zangief's case, that really shows that once again, grappler users are the most noble and most brave of them all. Really, when you think about it.
Words were being said today.
Yeah, words being said today. Like, it's funny because, reading Twitter is the most hilarious thing ever because, like, all the Zangief players are, like, complaining, Zangief sucks. And then I'm like, well, have you tried modern Zangief? That type of thing. And they're like, no. And then I'm like, you should try it. It's really freaking good. And then when you look back at CEO, the winner of the tournament was Mena RD. He won with Blanca, right? And he won the whole tournament pretty effortlessly, except for one match. And that was against a modern Zangief player. 2-1, down to the wire, final round. And then I'm trying to explain to all Zangief players, look, you can do this with Zangief that you cannot actually do with classic Zangief. So I don't know. Who knows?
I definitely was. We were talking about tier list stuff on stream, and somebody came in and was like, Justin Wong with modern Zangief is an absolute monster. And I'm like, I get it, chat. Modern mode is pretty good for some characters. However, take out the modern controls of that sentence. Justin Wong is an absolute monster. I'm like, yeah, that's because it's Justin fucking Wong. He's literally analyzing everything you're doing in a way that no other player does on the planet. Of course he's going to whoop your ass with any control scheme.
But modern Zangief is pretty good though. Like,
I'm sure he is, Justin.
Like, if you look at Japan's Street Fighter League results right now, like, most of the players that are winning are all modern player users. Like, Shuto of Modern Marissa destroyed Momochi to win like their set for the team. Kawano with Modern Luke. I don't know if Tokido still plays, but lots of players are switching to modern controls for specific characters.
And I was following Shuto as well, who's a Marissa main the whole time. I don't think I saw him play any other character. And I was watching his stream a whole bunch because I was playing Marissa day one. And he got to like 50,000 points on classic Marissa and just started messing around with the other like variations in modern and stuff like that. And she doesn't really lose that much. Like, that's the thing with modern controls. At a high level, this is going to be very specific.
Exactly.
It's going to be good for some things, but not like universally across the board. So, but when you talk about like modern controls and the actual discussion that's being brought up and who's talking about modern controls, this is mostly the conversations of like silver and gold players that are like, man, if you do special moves in Street Fighter, you're a god. You're so good if you know how to do special moves. Like, if you take away the skill of special moves, then what even is Street Fighter? Like, it's like, well, there's a lot more to it, buddy. Like, let me just tell you.
Yeah, but even on the super casual end / people that even play fighting games, I'm sure you guys have seen these articles pop up recently, a couple of websites.
People love it.
It's like people that have never played Street Fighter, any modern Street Fighter, have been like, modern controls is what I actually needed.
Yeah.
Now I'm enjoying things. I'm understanding what's happening, what I'm doing wrong, what I'm doing right. And this has been a godsend. No other game has had this level of accessibility for me who don't play these games hardcore. And I dabbled for a little while in modern controls, and I especially played World Tour in it.
Yeah.
But eventually I was just like, nah, there's too much memory on just standard 6 button. But
yeah,
like
legacy skill, right?
But for this modern controls is like literally one of the best ideas they've done in a while, because I've never seen this amount of articles or just takes on social media, people saying like, I actually really like this fighting game now, and I never really went to them before.
And that's the thing you ultimately realize when you take yourself out of the FGC bubble. People have a difficult time doing fireball motions. People have a difficult time doing Shoryuken motions. I still have to describe to people constantly, how do you get consistent Shoryu motions? And I'm like, dude, it's just forward fireball. That's all it is. And they're like, whoa. And I'm like, this was the discovery I made in like 1993, man. Like, so that just goes to show, for when you get a huge amount of casual audience, way more than a Street Fighter V like ever offered us, you're starting to get these outside opinions that are like, I actually kind of like Street Fighter because I can do these moves now. And that's incredibly valuable, because anyone that plays Street Fighter 6 knows it isn't the ability to do special moves that actually makes you good in the game. It's the utilization of all the other stuff that is significantly harder, but just as easy to execute, but requires like knowledge of the game to make it work. So of course, let them do special moves. It's like the best way you can do accessibility. which is to make the next game easier in some way. We made doing special moves easy, but we also expanded what is possible in the game so that your expertise and all this other shit now has to go up. And it's exactly what I want, like accessibility and also expansion.
No,
I don't know why
it's beautiful.
Sorry, Justin, go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's just beautiful because like such a simple thing where it's like people just have so much trouble because there's so many times where like I would teach people and they're like, I see them, they just can't throw a fireball. Literally just can't throw a fireball.
Yeah.
Consistently. It will take them like weeks to like finally get it down, maybe 2 out of 10. But yeah, the fact that we're in this era of modern controls taken from like Smash Brothers, like it just feels good because anybody could just press a button, a punch comes out, okay, that's normal looking. But the fact that you could just press a button and a fireball comes out, you're like, oh, I just did something. It just makes the person feel like, okay, I'm actually finally playing the game.
And then go ahead.
No, it's like because if you can't throw fireballs, you feel like I'm not playing the game because I'm just whiffing and just doing this and nothing's coming out, right? So it just makes you feel bad.
And it leads to the, like, as a streamer, you hear this question a lot, at least to the next part of the conversation, which is 2-in-1ing, being able to special cancel a normal, like, into a fireball, which a lot of people just don't comprehend. It's just like, wait, so where's the window of it? When can I do it? I do it too early. I do it too late. And it's like, yeah, this is something that you just have to feel out. And this will take a while to figure out.
And it's something that's, like, been ingrained with, like, Fierce Punch into a Dragon Punch is, like,
SF2
Super Street Fighter,
it's just SF2. Like that was the quote unquote the glitch in SF2.
The glitch, right? But now you can just press like medium special move, 2 buttons, and that's all you need to do to get that 2-in-1.
Let me know if you guys have a similar story to this. I remember playing Street Fighter 2 with my sister, like circa 1993, 1994, and do a fireball. I can't do it. How do you do it? Do a fireball. It's not happening. Then I remember us playing around the same time Mortal Kombat 2 on Super Nintendo. It's like, do Reptile's acid spit. And that's like tap forward twice and then a punch. And then it shot out. And then my sister freaked the fuck out, got super hype because the special move came out. And that is one directional, like one additional direction over what modern controls are, which is press forward and that button. It's like one iota more simple, but I'm like, it's kind of the accessibility of Mortal Kombat for a long time kind of had like, a bit of an edge there in terms of Street Fighter. And again, people that didn't play fighting games a whole lot there. So I just remember how excited they were. And it just makes me think of what's happening now with people like, I can do like super moves easily and I know when to do them now, and it's great to see. It's like Justin said, beautiful,
Yeah, I had the same thing when I was a kid and playing Killer Instinct. The first character I wanted to play was Jago, and I'm like looking at the move list and I'm like, I'm trying to do the fireball, wind kick, uppercut. Couldn't do a single thing. Instantly went back to the character select screen, looked for a character that didn't have those stupid motions. Saberwolf. Cinder. And I'm like, oh, look, I could do it now because all I got to do is just back forward punch and stuff like that. So I became a charge character player when I was like around like 9-10 years old. Yeah, and I even picked M. Bison. Didn't pick Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li. Picked M. Bison because I just hold back. The game says hold back 2 seconds, tap forward, press punch, move comes out. So much easier than doing a motion.
You make me realize that the majority of roster in KI is charge motions. Like a lot of them are hold back for a while or hold forward for a while and then do reverse input. And like a couple of them aren't, but the majority of them start their openers with charge back.
Yeah, a lot. And then like I think they made Saberwolf even simpler in KI2. Like I don't even think you had to press an attack button. Like
you didn't need a charge. Yeah, you didn't need a charge. You just do it.
It was just tap.
Yeah, you just
like it was just Mortal Kombat, like at that point. And then they changed Spinal's entire moveset to have more like easier commands and stuff.
Yeah.
I think in KI too. Like it was even back then, it was like some developers did like recognize like we need to make this character more accessible. We really like our dumb laughing skeleton. We refuse to cut him, but we'll fix him so people play him more. Because I think he was like one of the least played characters in KI1. I remember reading that in an interview.
He was obtuse as shit. Like I remember in when I was competing LOL like on weeklies at the rec room, or there'd be like 30 people for KI. If you ever wanted to win, you just pick Spinal because nobody knows what the fuck is going on. And it's like, who's this weirdo?
I always thought Spinal was a jobber. because growing up I played Golden Axe, and then when you play Golden
That's
Axe,
fair.
you fight random skeletons that's holding sword and shield, and I'm like, oh, that's a jobber. Why would I want to pick a jobber?
Like even in the movie Jason and the Argonauts, like he just fights skeleton jobbers, 2 or 3 that come out and stuff. I think that's where they even got. I remember there's this one page, Max, from the KI comic book where TJ Combo is fighting Spinal, and then Spinal jumps up in the air, and in his mind, a thought bubble appears, and then TJ realizes he's being comboed, and he goes, "What? A 2-in-1 teleport hit. I know this one. I know the breaker." And he goes, "Nikeo combo breaker." And he's like hyping himself up in his head.
That's godlike.
Like it's
It's the best. It was. I need to re-get. I lost mine back in the day. I need to like buy the whole collection of that. There's a video there. There's content to be made.
That sounds like something a current modern streamer would say.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm on YouTube.
I never thought they'd try to turn a combo breaker into a story element.
But because in the Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat comics by Malibu, it was just simple storytelling. It was the fights never got any complicated at all. But I remember in the KI comic book, that was like one instance, and I think there was like 2 or 3 others where they're talking about like my energy bar is low. I need the Ultra Tech beef jerky to power me up and shit like that. It was amazing. I think we need to talk about just comics specifically, like the Street Fighter one where Sagat sends Ken's scalp to Ryu.
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
that weird shit.
And the ferret shows up. And we're going to take time to give big ups to our sponsor today, Manscaped. Don't worry, everybody. We know that Justin is not in his little box right now. He's away in Texas, but that's perfect because we're not talking about balls today. We're talking about a thing that both me and Max are pretty well versed in, which is the beard. Maximilian, how is the beard feeling today?
Eloquent, vivacious, illustrious, any other word that's big. Feeling great about it. And Manscaped is here to help us out with the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. And we've talked about this one a bit before. And I think me and you have had the wonderful opportunity to use this product in the past, and it's been great. So yeah, it starts off with the Beard Hedger itself. It's a cordless trimmer, rotary wheel, and gives you like 20 hair cutting different lengths with one guard.
That's too many. That's too many options.
Once it's over 10, it's like the billions. Like at that point, it's just too much for us to process. It's also got a titanium coated T-blade for tough hair but smooth on your face for a single stroke efficiency. And for me, as every once in a while with those old trimmers, you're just like grinding away and you're just like, man, can that one stupid hair finally go? This is a good result and answer to that. But there's also beard shampoo, beard conditioner. Very important. The hair on your head is very different than the hair on your face. So vastly different. So by all means, take care of things like ingrown hairs, moisturize your beard, natural oils, and promote your own beard health. So also speaking of beard oils, it does come with a Manscaped's beard oil to help relieve dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath while adding a little bit of shimmer and shine. So cap that off with the Beard Balm, and you have a full kit of beard and beardly accessories that Manscaped is helping us out with this time.
Yeah, I just started using the beard oil myself before. I've never partaken in beard oil or resins or balms.
Resin.
before.
Beard lightning resin.
Exactly. I didn't know what to do with them before, but actually like going through the instructions for the beard oil, I was like, okay, it's not that intimidating of a thing. And this is just in time for the summer, the beach vibe, and with Manscaped, you can unleash the beach beast within you. And you can do so by getting 20% off and free shipping with the code TKO at manscaped.com. That's 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the code TKO. The Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths. Don't worry, folks. Justin will be back next time to talk about balls. So speaking of weird ass shit, Street Fighter 6 cross Pub G. What is this?
All I know is I saw 2 Chun-Lis in the same photo, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah,
It's
it was
Street
like
Fighter
classic
6.
Chun and new Chun.
Yeah. But then I think it's Luke on the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
this
I
is
assume-
definitely a weird crossover.
I assume these are going to be garish costumes for your garish PUBG characters that are just military guys, I think.
Didn't you guys remember, like, there was like a brief period during like the end of Street Fighter V where like Capcom said, yes, we're going to use Luke, Ryu, and Chun-Li for everything. Every collab, random collab out there, we are selling our characters. So yeah, I feel like this is kind of like the comeback of it.
It's still so bizarre that like no hate against it, but I'm like, oh, PUBG is a thing that still exists. Because I remember that's all I got as a Godzilla fan. That's all I had to wet my whistle for years. Godzilla coming to PUBG Mobile.
Oh, man.
And that was it. Like for 3 or 4 years, that was the only video game appearance. Then he was in Call of Duty, then etc. But still seeing, like, I guess it makes sense for Street Fighter characters in Fortnite, or costumes for Street Fighter characters in Fortnite. But PUBG just seems kind of like a step down. I'm sure it's popular somewhere, but not in our sphere, I don't think.
I guess PUBG, like, I don't know too much about it, but I know they have like esports stuff surrounding it. I guess PUBG Mobile is very popular, it seems like, because it's mobile. So maybe there's something there, but yeah, that was just kind of random personally. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would play it or whatever, but
no,
yeah,
definitely not. But it feels like, yeah, the efforts of Street Fighter licensing is definitely doing its work, and you know, they're trying to get the word out in some way.
Max, you should play this because it'll make the people that want you to play Fortnite like extra angry that you played this and not that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like if I had the opportunity to play PUBG or Fortnite, I would definitely play Fortnite without the building bullshit. I would definitely be way more interested in that.
Well, they had that mode for like a month or something where they did have that, like, no building.
No, it's Fortnite,
like
permanent now, dude.
It's a permanent mode?
They kept it, yeah.
Okay,
it's what the majority of people still play.
No, what what I mean is, like, they had a special like month-long event where there was no building.
Yeah.
And it was just like that. But are you saying that's permanent?
Yes.
I don't know if you're trolling me or not.
No, it is. No, it went so well because Fortnite, like, it only sparsely had no building, from what I understand. It went so well that they made it permanent. So whenever I see like my friends or anybody else playing Fortnite, there's no building anymore. You can still do the building stuff, but it's in a different mode.
It's just shooting now.
Yeah. It's because the shooting mechanics and mobility are already crazy as fuck in Fortnite. You don't need all the building shit, you know?
Yeah, see, I still don't know if you're trolling or not, because I don't know anything about it.
I'm actually not. No, it's
okay.
So that's why I said that, like, my stipulations to play Fortnite are at the same time in the same center space of reality. There needs to be a no build mode, and they have to introduce something that I am insanely excited for with no caveats. So if like Cloud Strife shows up or some shit like that.
So it's Cloud, Strider, and Siegfried.
And any general character. They put Leon in, but I made a stipulation. It's got to be RE4 Leon with the jacket, and they didn't give him the jacket. So I was like, nah, hell no, get the fuck out of here. So
see, that's smart. That's smart to put these stipulations.
I'm not gonna just like willy-nilly give up my virgin Fortnite body for this game. There needs to be a perfect moment. They got to kiss me a little bit. You know, there has to be the perfect situation for.
Got to be some foreplay.
Exactly. You have to make
what
me
if
very happy.
What if Akuma was a final boss in one of those modes where a giant Akuma just lands and touches down?
Like Galactus
sounds
was.
Good to me.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. Okay. I would do that. I would have to be a part of that. You know.
So yeah, not much to say about Street Fighter Cross PUBG. But we hinted about this before, but yeah, Street Fighter 6. The last time we talked about this on the last podcast, Capcom hadn't updated the numbers because Street Fighter 6 had sold 1 million that they had announced.
Yeah.
And now it's 2 million. And like I saw, like, you know, people that know that's a great number. But when you compare it to much bigger things or whatever,
Smash or MK.
Smash or MK or even non-fighting games, that seems kind of low. After a whole month, it's like, man, it took years maybe like a good year or two for Street Fighter V to get 2 million.
It took over a year from what I recall. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
So and that's the just for the general understanding of this. Most Capcom fighting games that have launched in the post Street Fighter 4 era, Street Fighter 4 and beyond, have sales expectations for their like vanilla versions, right? What are the sales we need to hit on this game to essentially become profitable? What is our goal? The goal is always 2 million in the first like quarter. So within the first few months, they need to hit 2 million units sold. And no other fighting game, Street Fighter 4 is the closest one because they ship 2 million units in the first month, but that's a bit, different because you could have like hundreds of thousands of copies sitting on store shelves. Capcom still sold those, but if those don't go sold off the shelf, they could lower the premium price of the game, which makes everybody unhappy. The difference now, 2 million copies first month of Street Fighter 6, most of those sales are digital. So they're earning more money than they ever have for a Street Fighter game outside of like Street Fighter 2, and technically is like the best selling Street Fighter game for the time frame, for what I understand, since SF2, because SF2 made like $10 billion fucking dollars. So no, nothing's beating Street Fighter 2 ever again. This is the best that they've come close to.
And there's like 3 viable platforms at launch versus Street Fighter 4, which just had PS3 and Xbox 360. I don't think the PC version came way later. Yeah. And then Street Fighter 5, just PC and PS5. So this is like, not hitting the Switch, like that probably would have helped even
that would have
more,
helped a lot. It's the thing that it made Mortal Kombat 11 eclipse was the fact that it was on 4 different versions.
That reminds me of how like the best-selling version of Street Fighter 4 was the 3DS version or something. Like it's sold crazy high.
I bought it for sure.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
like I think you're right. Like Super Street Fighter 4 3DS ended up being the best-selling single version of Street Fighter 4.
It's crazy.
But like, that's the thing. It's like there's a reason why Dragon Ball FighterZ, especially Tekken 7's unique because it was only on a couple platforms, like 3 technically, and really did sell amazing. But Dragon Ball FighterZ and Mortal Kombat 11 came out on fucking everything, including Switch, and the Switch absolutely had an impact on that.
Yeah, and like we were just talking about modern controls. Like lots of casual video game fans have Switches, I'm assuming, and that just kind of plays into it even more. Like, here's this nice fighting game, but we know the RE engine can run on the Switch, but we don't know whether it'll be like a
PS4 one, and I tried the PS4 one. It's terrible.
It exists. I was about to ask, was that a fever dream? Did I forget about that? Am I having a stroke?
6 exists.
Yeah. So I went to a tournament before CEO in Kentucky, and the funniest part was that they had Street Fighter 6, and then a lot of players don't have PS5 joysticks. There's actually a shortage of Brooks converter everywhere.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Right? So then the tournament was like, yeah, if this person doesn't have a PS5 stick, you have to play on the PS4 version. So I played on the PS4 version, and oh my god, I thought I was playing a completely different game.
Was it super fuzzy? Was lack of detail? What was it?
So it was fuzzy, like it was a little pixelated, and if you double tap, 2 buttons came out instead of 1. So there was a lot of input delay.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so like I couldn't double tap. If I double tap, then like I would get a wrong input that came out, or an extra input that I don't want.
Are you sure? Like input release wasn't not checked or some shit?
No, it was all like how it normally would be, but it was just so slow. And then like every other player that like played on PC for Street Fighter 5 even said the same thing. It was like, this is really hard to play on. So I was just like, you know what? I just need to play as safe as possible and not do anything crazy.
Have they confirmed that Evo is going to be running on PS5s?
Yeah, it's on PS5.
Okay, so it's on PS4.
I mean, that's the thing. At a big event, it's Sony run, so I'd like to think there isn't much of a shortage, but
No, it's going to be a shortage of sticks for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure whoever is selling Brooks Converter at Evo, it's going to sell out within 10 minutes when the doors open.
Is there going to be like a guy with like a trench coat that like opens up the trench coat and has Brooks Converters? Like,
what's your wares, like Resident Evil style, bro?
Buying? Yeah.
There needs to be a guy dressed as Q doing that.
Ooh, that's a perfect combo.
But literally, they're running. They like the Brooks themselves. Like they have to make more Brooks Converter because they don't even have like it's sold out on their website.
Sure.
So yeah, because as we were talking about, I was like, the PS4 version, no, that got delayed or that got canceled, right? No, it actually
came out.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
That's the basis they're using for the arcade port eventually.
Oh, that sucks.
Okay.
That sucks.
Hopefully things will get ironed out.
Okay, yeah, but overall, that kind of sucks if that's the case.
But yeah, 2 million for a Street Fighter game is a big deal. And the next closest game that Capcom has released in their entire fighting game repertoire since and post Street Fighter 4 in 2008 2009 has only been SF4. So every other game, Marvel vs. Capcom, Street Fighter, MVC 3, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, MVCI, Street Fighter 6, all those games didn't come close to 2 million units sold in like the first year. The next one would have been Marvel 3 Vanilla. And I think that did hit sales expectations.
And Street Fighter 4 had that like extra advantage of it's been a long time since a Street Fighter. The 90s are back, like everyone get on board.
Yeah.
Versus Street Fighter 6, which had a bigger hill to climb. Like, Street Fighter 5, like our last game, not everyone liked it, didn't sell like so it had more of a disadvantage going into that, didn't have that nostalgia blast, but it got by because of a bunch of great betas, a bunch of early good impressions, a bunch of everyone liking what they were doing.
And single player content.
And single player content. So it's like, it is impressive for 2 million. Again, like Max said, not a patch on a Mortal Kombat or a Smash, but like it was never going to be. Like it's just really uphill battle to reach those numbers.
People don't understand Capcom isn't competing with Warner Brother Games marketing. Like some of the marketing budget that goes into a Mortal Kombat game, if not a big WB game like Hogwarts Legacy or some shit, probably eclipses 2 to 3 to 4 times the amount of money that they would spend on marketing for those games. So you're just not going to beat that. WB's too big, and Smash Brothers exists in its own fucking universe.
Yeah. And kind of like related to its popularity, I just thought this was such an amazing metric. Street Fighter 6 played more than all PC Steam fighting games combined. So its player count dwarfed every other currently available Steam game. And I'm just like, at first I guess no one is playing like Mortal Kombat 11 or Tekken 7.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. They've been winding down for a couple of years now, I guess. So yeah, that made sense. But I'm just like, everything together though, combined, that's huge.
That's pretty huge.
The interesting thing about that metric, I think, was the averages and LOL Steam chart averages. But a month after the game comes out, that is definitely after the honeymoon period for a fighting game. Like fighting game honeymoon periods back in the day, like Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3, even like 10 years ago, would probably last you like a couple of months. Now, a month after a fighting game coming out, people have too much shit to do, bro. If that game is not severely engaging and fully functioning, bitches move on. So a lot of fighting games will lose like a very large upwards 75 to 80% their player base after month 1, even if they have a really popular like opening sequence, which is not a knock on the fighting game. That's completely normal. Like and you just have to engage your remaining audience with whatever you can possibly do. But I think 6 in terms of Steam, and this is just Steam numbers. We're not talking about the consoles, which make up for a huge part of the player base. I think kept like over 50%. It actually maintained over 50% its audience after month 1, which is pretty high in general for a fighting game. And that just, because 6 is good. Street Fighter 6 is actually really fun to play online, and it's a fun game. So of course people are still playing it.
Yeah,
it reminds. Go ahead, Justin.
No, I was like, even when I was at a tournament or like traveling, I'm just like, man, I wish I was home playing ranked. Like that's literally what I was thinking about. Like anytime I'm like out from like Vancouver, I'm just like, I just want to play online because online works so well. It's so fast. Battle Hub is just super funny just to see every other avatar just go stupid ape shit crazy. And like there's just way too much stuff to do. Like, and the crazy part is like rank is so fun that I haven't even explored a lot of the other stuff within Street Fighter 6 alone. It's just insane.
So what you're saying is that you were getting soaked on the stage at the K-pop concert, but in your head you were thinking of ranked.
Oh, trust me, I had my stick and my laptop with me this past weekend.
There you go.
I brought the necessities for me to play Street Fighter 6 whenever I can.
Would you play it on a Steam Deck?
I would.
You don't have one, I think. Yeah, you would. Okay.
Yeah, I would.
I'm not sure if it runs
I don't
well
have
on
one.
it.
Yeah, I haven't read anything about it, but they said like the other sort of Steam Deck, from Asus, that one.
Yeah, that one.
That one runs better for Street Fighter 6, according to a lot of people.
I think there's like a whole bunch of competitors in that market. Like suddenly, there's like a whole
all
bunch
of
of
a
different
sudden.
Steam decks.
Yeah, I have a Steam Deck and I just forget to use it. I forget that I have it. No knock against it. It's just one of those things. And so I'd try it. I think I'll
listen,
get
Matt.
that
If you go to Evo, bro, that's your perfect chance to test it out.
I'm gonna go.
Right.
So we'll see. And I guess along with this, we mentioned a little just like a second ago, the 7,000 entrants being the confirmed number for Evo. Like we knew that it was more than 5,000 last week, but we didn't. But one of us said a number. One of you guys said a number.
So I said 9,000 because, bro, Evo tweeted a Vegeta thing with 9,000.
That's true.
You all may assume it's 9,000. It's over 9,000. Like, how can it be 7,000? Vegeta never even mentions the number 7,000.
Yeah, we were
whatsoever.
kind of hoping it was going to eclipse 10K or something based on those
Yeah.
early presumptions. It was like, oh man, yeah, it's over 9,000. Maybe somebody at Evo didn't understand the meme.
Yeah, that's the only way I could think of, because I'm like,
Maybe they thought it was
What?
over 6,000.
the only thing I can think of is
Upside
that
down.
maybe they're like, oh no, we're talking about all the competitors combined.
Most likely.
Yeah, so that's probably it. Because like when you look at Street Fighter 6 at 7,000, and then the next number is Guilty Gear Strive at like 2,500
Which is
or
a ton.
2,700. It's a ton, but the gap is crazy though. For the fact from 7,000 to the next number is 27 is huge. So such a big gap, but
And it just goes to show, like, and this even happened back in the Street Fighter V time, where that game was legit pissing people off in the first like few months, and the story mode was not good. Evo happened, and there was like 5,000 plus people for new Street Fighter at Evo. So it's a thing that has always existed, that the FGC and like conglomerate of fighting game community and competitive fighting games has always been Street Fighter centric, because it was the big boy to start it, and it still is the big boy to do it. Even if the big boy shit his pants, like it'll still perform ridiculously well behind the scenes, and that behind the scenes might be going good, but like the actual story on the other side of Street Fighter V was that it was not doing good. Now you get the opposite situation, where a game that is doing good, and you have like technically, I think, the biggest Street Fighter tournament ever, biggest fighting game tournament ever. Outside of some really obscure, I think there was a Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting Championship Edition thing in Japan, which was just an open, free event back in the 90s when Street Fighter 2 was in its heyday. That like I think 15,000 people went to, or some shit. Like there was but that's like a unique situation, because it was when Street Fighter 2 was making like $10 billion. There was a Japanese tournament.
That's at the height of the mania.
Exactly.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It was. And that tournament was absolutely insane in Japan. I don't even know who won it, but it was in the mid 90s.
I wonder if we could find like footage of like VHS tapes.
Oh,
or
it exists.
something.
Yeah,
It does.
I've seen footage of it.
I think one of my editors, Ultima X, whenever I do a street fighting game video, he finds footage of this event, because it's just a bunch of boss ass 90s like Japanese guys just going crazy at a
people in
huge
cosplay.
arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be it. Okay. So when you said like it retains Street Fighter 6 is like retaining like 50% of its audience, at least on Steam and stuff, it just reminds me of those metrics for movies, like big blockbusters.
Yeah.
They use that thing in its second week. What's its drop off? If it's more than 50%, that's not great. If it's 50% or like lower, or like it retains most of the audience, like that's great legs.
Yeah,
like,
great legs.
Because
Yeah.
there's always a huge drop off after the second week. For video game, it's a little bit different because you can do more stuff and it takes more time. But still, it's like a really good sign that they'll hit that. What's the Capcom wants 10 million by the end of its lifetime?
Right. And yeah, Capcom CEO saying 10 million copies before we even knew how much Street Fighter 6 was going to sell. Like that was when we heard it was 1 million sold, and they're like, we're expecting 10 million, and it's like, what the hell are you even talking about? However, if they hit 2 million in the first month, yeah, they're going to hit that. That's lifetime sales. They're 100% going to hit that if that's the case. And I'm more curious what it's like after the end of this year, where they're actually at that point, because Capcom releases their sales metrics every quarter. So pretty sure they're going to hit that. There's a very good chance, unless something goes disastrously wrong with Street Fighter 6 and it fucking shits the bed in some way, that it might not happen, but it's going to meet the likes of other games like Tekken 7 and Dragon Ball Fighters for being some of the best-selling fighting games outside of Smash and MK.
Capcom has always been really good at keeping those numbers available, like sales numbers. Like some companies obscure it, obfuscate it. They bury it somewhere you can't find them. But when I do videos about Capcom stuff, that's always easy to find. Like even 10, 15 years ago, there's always a press release that's like, we are disappointed in the sales of Bionic Commando Rearmed. We are disappointed in the sales of Resident Evil Umbrella Corps.
Umbrella Corps Second Impact.
Yeah.
Second Impact.
All this stuff.
That's kind of the nice part about being like, I think they're a publicly traded company, so they have to make all that shit. True. Yeah, you want to invest in us, look at our shit. We're expecting this for the next quarter. Give us your money.
Getting away from Street Fighter, the full patch notes and changes for DNF Duel came out. Me not having played DNF Duel in a long time, what are your guys' thoughts on these changes? Because there was a lot.
They're fucking wild.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Good.
This is all you, Max. I have not looked at any of this when it comes to DNF Duel, just because, like I said, it's just so hard for me to get back into it at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And I just briefly glance over like my character and some system changes. The system stuff is crazy, right? They're really attacking like a whole bunch of the systems of the game and adding new systems on top of it. They essentially, you know how we were complaining about this when DNF Duel came out, how Berserker and Troubleshooter kind of had the ability to give themselves gray life and use conversion, because conversion was the most interesting mechanic as far as like you had to block stuff to get the bar. Anyway, they made you like have a choice when you block attacks in this version of the game to have this thing that's a new mechanic that forces you to get conversion at like any time. So every character gets the ability to have conversion at this point, if they do something. So it isn't just like Troubleshooter or Berserker that gives themselves gray health. So no, every character could go fucking crazy, but it's now a risk because you're sacrificing your life. You're directly sacrificing your health to do some nutty shit. So the life bars will constantly be like fighting each other because you'll be ripping away your own health to do crazy stuff even more than ever before. And I think the other one that seemed kind of nuts, and I don't know if it was across the board, but they made a shit ton of stuff jump cancelable. So,
I'm looking at like kind of like some characters, like lots of things are just jump cancelable after being spent. Even special moves. You do a special move, you could jump cancel during the special move, which is kind of crazy. I
don't know if there was a general mobility buff, but yeah, like they went kind of wild. They're going proper aiding batshit crazy. And my secret hope for this game is that obviously we all saw the writing on the wall before the game was out. We knew it wasn't going to do specifically great, but it's obviously got some fun in there. It's just that we have to figure out like what that is, and it could use some assistance from the developers. My hope is that like they get enough support from, Neopol or whoever the hell the big company is that's sponsoring this. Yeah. And eventually this turns into like a really crazy ass Kusoge, a game that has even more nutty stuff, because as much as people would like to say it's like a trash fighting game that is just mechanically busted, no, dude, the mobility sucked. Like being able to move around in DNF Duel was just a run or a roll, and that was it. And the run was pretty bad and the roll was pretty bad, and they started making them better. So eventually they're going to get to this mobility thing where characters will start really moving around with their big fucking crazy normals and shit. I hope over time they keep adding nutty stuff, and this turns into a situation where it's like, yeah, the final version of the game is actually crazy fun. You should try this shit. And maybe eventually it become slightly beloved, if not sort of like a cult game at some point down the line.
So like it becomes like a Jackie Chan Fists of Fire type situation where it's just people are like, no, no one plays this.
Yes,
but it's super fun.
Like a Sailor Moon S or Hokuto no Ken. Not nearly as busted as old Kusoges, which is what those games are. They're just riddled with infinites. DNF Duel is a proper balanced fighting game in comparison to that shit, but like a modern version of that, which is like, no fighting games are kind of like this and have all this crazy bullshit in them. Nah, this kind of goes against the modern fighting game design of most things. So it feels like a 2020 version of like, this game's fucking nuts, bro. Like, what are we talking about?
This is exactly what this will be. In 10 to 15 years, Guile Winquote will do a video that says DNF Duel, the game that we did not deserve.
Yeah, exactly.
That type of thing. Yep. Okay. Gotcha.
That could happen eventually.
I would love that to happen because I would love to live long enough to see games now be like propped up or pushed down, but like hopefully propped up, like ones that we're talking about on this very podcast. That'd be awesome.
They did add a different mobility thing. You can roll backwards now.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
You don't have to roll forwards anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's another mobility thing that they added, but yeah, if you start looking at all this, they changed completely how Awakening is. Standard grabs can be canceled. What the shit?
Guard cancel attacks. The grabs now?
I think so. Guard gauge recovery speed increase. Like, man, there are so many things just in system-wide things, right? And this isn't even talking about fucking characters, bro. So we're playing it. This is a different game, straight up. Like, just reading this is a completely different game than what people were playing a year ago.
Like a pretty big over. When does Spectre comes out in like a few days of this recording?
It comes out literally today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Twitch and people are already playing the new version of the game, trying Spectre out. So yeah, if she's already out. So by the time this podcast goes live, the game would have been already out for a few days now.
And these changes are with her, like this new version is okay. All right. Well, that's, I might give it a second go just to see what's up, because I did enjoy my brief time with it. I just got so distracted with so many other shit in games or whatever. So.
And you know what? It's doing the exact same thing. It's just launching at a period that kind of is rough. It's like the timing inconveniences of DNF Duel have been insane, and that's just kind of the thing about this era of fighting games. There's so many options.
It's just...
It reminds me of like I was doing QA on No More Heroes back in the day when it was about to launch, and its initial launch date was on the day Brawl came out.
It's a good idea.
It's a good idea. And I sent an email to like the producer at Ubisoft, because Ubisoft published the first No More Heroes, and I just said, like, you're not going to listen to this. I know marketing things are like, but this is a bad idea. Fortunately, Brawl was delayed by like 2 months. To like from like February to like March or April, I think. And then it wasn't that big of an issue, but I was like, your game's going to get trounced. And it took a while. And the guy was like, no, we're not going to change it. So Brawl got out of No More Heroes' way is what I like to say. So, DNF, where are you with Max saying looks like it's completely different. Justin, are you still like, nah, man, it's just Street Fighter, or you'll check it out eventually?
It's too hard. Street Fighter 6
too hard.
It's just so fun. Like, it's really hard, and then the hardest part about it is, like, even if I wanted to give DNF Duel another try, you have the Tekken 8 beta that's coming out, like, literally next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Right? So it's there's just too much fighting game. New fighting game stuff is happening way too often.
It's funny because the comparative opposite of DNF Duel is technically Grand Blue Fantasy Versus.
And guess what?
What is also happening within like a week of this time is another Grand Blue Fantasy Versus beta for the next game.
Oh,
is involved in both.
And they're both,
crazy.
And they're comparative similar games where it's like giant overseas, like Asian territory, games from the East that have huge fan bases and stuff, like between DNF Duel and Grand Blue, and it's the same shit, man, where it's just like, man, let's just put them against each other. Why not?
It's just tough. There's just too much fighting games.
Speaking of things... Sorry, Justin?
I'm just saying, like, there was a time where it's like, we need new fighting game content. Now it's like, there's too much fighting game content.
No, push it back. It's too much. Going back to Evo stuff, I'm sure both of you guys have a big smile on your face. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 sets Evo record for itself. It has never been more popular than it is now.
Yes, that is correct.
In a roundabout way. So
that is correct, and it is wonderful.
That's
it's actually crazy because it's like this game is not a new game, right? It's been there since what, 2012. If you count vanilla, 2011. So the fact that 12 years later that you're saying Evo announced that Marvel 3 is going to be part of this new series called Evo Retro, and it got the numbers where it's the number 4 game in terms of most entrants, meaning it's going to be an Arena Sunday final game. It beats all the other games that has came out way after Marvel 3 releases, right? And literally, I think the craziest part is the reason why this game is doing so well is obviously we talked about it many a times, right? Parsec, the modders, Tong running Tampa Never Sleeps, all the Marvel 3 tournaments every week during the pandemic. The pandemic really got so many people back into playing Marvel 3 again. It's just insane.
I think if there's something that everyone's like looking for, and I have an exclamation point Marvel 4 tag on my channel, and it pretty much explains your chances of getting another Marvel vs. Capcom are 1 in like 14,605,000. So shut the hell up. And it's still.
But you're saying there's a chance.
Exactly.
Though.
You're saying there's a chance. So people look at that and they're like,
you looking like Doctor Strange right now. The time stone.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I get it. We don't have mystical wizards on our side, unfortunately. But really, like, I think if we're talking about a reality where the best case scenario could happen from this, like what is really, and something that is in relatively low budget, that is possible, that could potentially be put into the hands of fans, that could fix or provide solutions to some of the problems that Ultimate Marvel 3 has in terms of its connectivity. I think like one of the greatest things could happen is what Arc System Works did with their classic titles and added rollback to them. Like how incredibly cool would it be if you had a lower budget project and you just get some people that know how to make rollback work and just put all the money into, hey, can you fix our fucking game, dude? Can you like make it function? And that would be incredible.
Unfortunately, outside ArcSys and SNK, which has done things like that, Capcom I don't think ever has, unless you count like Mega Man versus Street Fighter is kind of sort of like that.
And there's the 14,605,000 thing coming back around. It's still even that which is like a relatively simple ask, Capcom is not usually the company to do that. And we both know that the Mega Man versus Street Fighter thing was entirely a Capcom USA gig that they probably had to fight tooth and nail to make that a reality. So, you know, just don't expect anything. Just be happy that Marvel vs. Capcom is back in the spotlight in some way. The Marvel.com recently had an article about it, right? They actually acknowledged the existence of the franchise in some way.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. You know, I'm just not expecting anything to come as a result, because as Marvel vs. Capcom fans, we're used to the pain.
And also rollback would be fantastic. I think rollback would be fantastic if they somehow did something and it would bring a lot of players, new players. I would be playing way more for Marvel 3 if there was rollback.
Of course.
But but just waiting for whenever that community rollback eventually happens in a few years.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be great. Either way, it'll be fantastic.
It's essentially our responsibility, and will also be my responsibility during that Evo finals when there's a lot of people watching and we're enjoying watching Marvel 3 played at the highest level in 2023 to an audience that big, to remind people that this game actually does have a future. There is a whole bunch of stuff that is in development for Marvel 4 right now, and it's in the hands of fans. And fans have been creating mods that are absolutely insane, where even Captain Commando is about to get Baby Mummy and Ninja fully fucking functional with new voice acting and shit. It's like, yeah, dude, modded Marvel 3 is the future of Marvel vs. Capcom at this point.
When is Twitch Rivals Maximilian for modded Marvel 3?
That will never happen, unfortunately. That unfortunately, hey man, the regular Marvel 3 just by itself was already a nigh insurmountable task that I actually know no one else would have been able to do, because they didn't have the contacts I personally fucking had to call them up and be like, hey, can I have a favor? Like, I did this for you back in the day. Can I have a favor? And they're like, okay, sure. So so that happened. And to be honest, like, I'm fairly sure the similar path exists because for Evo in the exact same way that it did for Twitch Rivals, because the same people that helped me on the logistics end and business end for Twitch Rivals is the exact same crew that's running Evo. Now. It was the same folks that were helping me run those early tournaments for Twitch that were official tournaments. So if that eventually contributed in some way to Marvel 3 coming back as the first big retro title and now having like 1,300 fucking entrants and it's a finals day game, I love it. That, you know what? That's what I want old dead fighting games to be played in some way.
So yeah, they didn't give the numbers yet for how many entrants on there, but do we want to take any bets?
Oh no, they did.
What could have? Oh, they did? Because in the article I have, it says there's no numbers.
The numbers came out literally this morning. So
this morning, okay.
Marvel 3 is 1,346.
I was gonna say 1,500, but I was over, so I would have lost the prices.
I think the craziest part is it beat out Dragon Ball Fighters at 838, King of Fighters 666, Melty Blood at 554, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate at 449. The third place from fourth place, which is really close, it was Tekken 7 at 1,580. So
it almost beat Tekken 7.
Tekken 7.
Damn.
And that's just a testament to Marvel 3. It's one of the greatest fighting games of all time. It's one of the most expressive, the best movement of any fighting game of all time, likely. And you know, I was just having a chat with the chat about this, like, why is Marvel 3 so special? And it's just look at this fucking game, dude. Look what's possible in this. It's dominated by top tiers, sure. It needed a balance patch, sure. But it doesn't matter because its systems allow for the most like creativity you've ever fucking seen in a game.
Yep. That is 1,000%. And the crazy part is that when you look at Marvel 3 as like a full product, like there's not much to do actually.
No, it's just an arcade game.
Yeah, it's an arcade game, but the fact that you could just stay in training mode for hours and hours and have fun,
and you'll find something new.
Yeah, developing stuff, your combos, strategies, and everything like that. It's just endless. You can always find something new to do when it comes to playing Marvel 3, even if there is no story mode or just like a regular arcade mode.
It's a game that completely lives on the gameplay alone.
Yep.
And there's a lot, like, aside from just being a great game, there was a lot of, like, 2011, 2012, there's a lot of outside things that made that, like, a specific, unique time for that game to come out. It's like, the MCU is skyrocketing. It's, like, starting to blast off with, like, more and more characters being added. It's an exciting, fresh thing. You're getting old players that remember the ones from the 90s. You're getting new players and stuff. So it hit at that specific time versus Infinite, which was, like, you don't get X-Men, there's all these other things that kind of marred the experience, and then very little support. I mean, they both had kind of very little support, but
it's crazy to go back and look at MVCI's launch and how that game was so restrictive on what the roster was and what it could be. And then within a year and a half after, in that time frame where these games are being developed at the same time, the difference between MVCI and a game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which is a game that has just a comic book art style, completely cool, doesn't have to be realistic, and also has all these X-Men characters and shit.
5 billion characters.
Yeah. 5 billion. What is the difference? Also made by a Japanese developer. It was made by Team Ninja. What was the difference? Crazy. The difference is that in that time frame, MVCI was in development before Marvel Games as a studio existed. So Marvel Games existed after. The whole point was to make licensing and all this bullshit easier. And it seems like they almost did that in response to Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, because there was so many goddamn problems during development for those games, obviously. So Marvel Games comes out, and then what's their first game? Ultimate Alliance 3. And look at it. It's like, oh, it's beautiful. It's what everybody kind of wants. It sells great, too, and all this shit. Marvel 3 is such a fascinating goddamn game because, it is the game, as a definition we said earlier, a game that had legs, where it came out and in its first month it sold 50,000 copies. It fucking bombed because it came out within like 7-8 months of the first game. So nobody gave a shit. Everyone was pissed off, and it was $40 with no upgrade path. It was like, this is stupid, dude.
Not
so
about that bit.
People were pissed. It tanked really hard. However, and knowing Capcom folks there at the time, it kept selling. And it kept selling because word of mouth of it was really good, and people loved it. So over time, it ended up being one of the better selling Capcom fighting games ever, was the Ultimate Marvel 3 specifically. And I think you guys remember this at some point. It was hard to find a game on PS3 or Xbox 360 for a while in the mid-2010s. In like 2014-ish, Marvel 3 was like $60 at GameStop used.
Oh, wow.
Because there was no PC/PS4 version yet. The 1080p upscale did not come out. So the game was expensive because they ran out of copies to sell and people had to buy it like digitally. And at tournaments, that didn't work so great in that era. So yeah, it had legs. It kept selling and it kept selling. And no other, according to Capcom, no other fighting game has done that. Where it's like, did terrible at the start and then just slowly picked up over time.
Evergreen.
Yep.
There was like, correct me if I'm wrong, there was a PS4 version that came out early on.
2016.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I was trying to remember if that was a thing or not.
It was. It was late 2016, and then the PC version was early 2017 before MVCI. So yeah, that's where a lot of the sales like picked up because we can actually buy the fucking game now. Cool, because it got delisted and all this crazy bullshit. I don't know if it got delisted, but it was hard to find.
Yeah, I remember reading something like it's going to be delisted, so I made sure I saw like a physical copy somewhere, and like I had Marvel 3, like vanilla, and I was just like, nah, I have to get this now. I'm super glad I still have it, just in case I ever want to play Hagar again.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Marvel 3 has the best intro of all time?
It's up there.
It's pretty good.
And the craziest part is that the full intro isn't even in the final game.
I know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like I had to watch that with the chat again. I'm like, chat, check this out. You've ever seen this before? And so many people are like, what? People are like, of course I've seen this. It was a launch trailer. And then other people are like, wow, it goes on for like 3 more minutes. What the shit?
How is that not an unlockable thing in the options or something? Just like movie section.
Yeah, for real. It's like a gallery, right?
I have an answer. I actually have an answer because that trailer came out right before the game did. And the game would have like gone gold earlier in September. So essentially, the CG house, Polygon Studios, that made that, they weren't done with it.
Just finished it.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it wasn't even done. So they had essentially shoot out what was finished and then finish the rest of the work, and it just became the launch trailer, and they never got to add it back.
Like nowadays, if it released now, they day one patch.
Yeah,
that would,
for sure.
Easy,
Yeah. But back then, like it also would increase the file size of the game. That's also a bigger issue back in 2010s, you know. So they just didn't do it.
So can the modders just put the whole intro in the PC version?
Oh yeah. If you it needs to be upscaled, but it definitely can happen.
Oh, that intro's so good.
That's where like algorithms to upscale things like come in useful there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, it's a lot easier than it was back then.
Yeah.
But results a little bit better as well. One like really quick last story before we get to our main last story. Max, did you see this new mode for AEW Fight Forever?
Is it the Battle Royale thing?
Yeah, did you see video of it?
I did not see a video of it. How crazy is it?
You should click on it just so you can see it while we talk. But AEW Fight Forever, no, this is tangentially related to fighting games, but they announced a free mode is coming that is a 30-player battle royale where you are all stuck in a stadium.
There's
it's just ham. Yeah, it's just ham.
And there's explosions, vehicles, and horses, and you all like God rest its soul, it's gone, but not Knockout City. I'm sorry.
Rumbleverse.
Rumbleverse is back.
It's called the Stadium Stampede.
Yeah.
It looks like it will not function at launch.
Yeah.
Like it looks so ambitious and insane that I'm like, there's no way this is gonna work, right?
It's very jank.
Kenny Omega is very excited for this mode. He's
man,
like,
play this. Yeah, I would definitely go back for this.
There is a rumor that like this is how you earn more parts for your creator wrestler.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like you do better and better in the mode, and you unlock more and more parts. I'm like, you know what? It would have been nice if this was in there at launch. And they said this is coming soon, so hopefully it's like in the next couple of weeks or a month or so. Because yeah, that looks like something fun, and it's something different for a wrestling game. I just thought it was neat, especially like riding a horse in a wrestling game.
No, yeah, it looks really fun. I think also it's free, right? So the fact that
they said it's free,
you don't even need to own the game, right? So you could just play this.
Oh well, I assume it's DLC.
Okay,
it's like a free mode.
Oh,
that's
free
being
mode.
Added. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually still pretty sick though. Like the fact that you could just kind of do whatever you want. If you don't want to play with rules, this is the one with no rules right here.
Yeah, because your people are driving Jeeps onto each other and stuff.
Yeah, it looks insane in a way that the only other game to captivate this sort of emotion has been like Rumbleverse. And yeah Rumbleverse, there's something special about that game, like God rest its soul, where if you're doing a drop on a character from a skyscraper and you turn into a meteor 3 levels down and you just explode the ground below, killing the 2 people that were fighting down there already, like there's a special feeling to that with Rumbleverse that was like, no, I don't think any other game's gonna match this shit. Like,
it's hard to program chaos, but Rumbleverse did it. I feel.
Yeah, they did.
For sure.
Yeah. For anyone that missed it, do check out our episode where we talk with Keats about Rumbleverse. Sadly, before he passed away,
it was a special game.
It was still a good time. So we're gonna of course finish on the Mortal Kombat 1 Lin Kuei trailer, and I just want to say right off the bat, I was watching this trailer and I was like, this is one of the most hyped trailers I've seen in a while.
It does a very good job.
Mostly due to how much gameplay is there. It's all synced to the music.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look at everything this character can do, interspersed with like, this was a better, more hyped trailer than the reveal trailer that had gameplay in it. I was just like, holy shit. And just the amount of reveals and the fact that we know the context of this is a new universe, new like interpretations of characters.
Yeah.
But what did you guys feel about it respectively?
Bro, when there's smoke, there's fire.
I
was like, oh my god.
Yeah. I heard him immediately and I tweeted at him like, are you Smoke? And then like 3 days later, he's like, yeah, everyone, I'm Smoke. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
It's so it's so good.
It's a thing where I see what's in there and I'm confused by what I'm looking at, because Rain and Smoke are doing like very different things than they've done historically. And all I wanted at the end was just to see more. Like, I know I need to see more. It's hard for me to like comprehend what these characters are doing. I just want to see more men. Where's the combat cast?
And they did do the combat cast. It was on other characters, of course, but it was over time. It was well overdue to see Scorpion and what Scorpion can actually do, because he wasn't included in the beta and stuff like that. But I was watching this. I was just kind of losing my mind at the amount of reveals. Like, it's really exciting where it's like, here's this other new character. Here's another new character. And if this is how they're going to do it, like, we're just going to do a Lin Kuei trailer, then a Special Forces trailer. Anyone that's involved in that storyline, that's a really good way to get a lot of information done in the small amount of time that they have before launch.
Yep.
Like, then they're going to do the Shaolin, the White Lotus Society, or whatever it'll be. Did you guys catch that bit on the website? Everyone has profiles.
No.
I did about Scorpion and Sub-Zero being like the opposites, right?
That and this, that initially apparently when the website went up with this new updates, and on, I think it was Smoke's bio, where it says General Shao and Queen Sindel, and then apparently it was taken, that was shortened and it was taken away.
So they made Sindel like the big, conqueror of the land, and they made the lower. I now run the armies of Queen Conqueror.
Yeah. And someone said this is Fire God Liu Kang saying, I'm demoting all the people I hate.
That's funny, because Shao Kahn is already like sort of teased in that trailer in terms of like running an army, and there's like a voice you hear, who he is. I'm like, oh, that's Shao Kahn.
Yeah, it's either Shao Kahn or maybe the Dragon King or whatever. But seeing Rain in a very different thing, like just dork water wizard, is just kind of neat. But I know everyone, or like a huge contingent of people, are like, no, I want my ninja. I don't.
I'm pretty sure that could be a skin, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the scariest part about him is that he has turned into like the Cetrion of the game in many ways, with very similar kind of moves. So it's like, oh no!
Like zoning and everything, yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, just gigantic like cloud above him. Like that's godlike
thing, yeah.
stuff that's happening. And I noticed that Smoke's mask is like modeled like a gas mask, which I thought was neat.
Yeah, apparently he doesn't have as much like special powers, which is something that they're kind of taking away from a lot of characters. Sub-Zero is obviously a bit different, but like Scorpion's spear just doesn't come like out of his spiderweb hole in his hand. Like he actually has like a rope, you know. So they're trying to like ground things a little bit more, and I think Smoke is like he's using like Batman techniques, maybe, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like he's not like a smoke elemental magic man. He's just like ninja that uses smoke shit. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, smoke shit. And then the cameos, I mean, they revealed so much interesting stuff with the cameos. Like we talked about like combo assists with like Sonya, the unblockable Jax, but then the Scorpion assist, he brought him. You got a backdash.
That's the scariest one.
That's a good one. I was like, wait, was that a defensive assist?
Yes.
That was just insane. So I thought that was really cool, and that stuck out most compared to like the other characters' cameos.
It did. Because if Liu Kang is throwing his now variety of 7 different projectiles at you and you get suddenly close, Scorpion can pull you full screen. Keep doing that. I'm going to help you with this, brother.
Did you guys slow it down? Is Scorpion piercing someone? Is he piercing his friend with it? Or is it just wrapping around them gently?
No. I think he stabs your ass in the back.
Yeah, he does stab. Because you turn white. Like your like color and outfit. It's like white, and then you just get pulled back. So I don't know. Maybe that's armor. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe you take like 1% of damage. Who knows?
Interesting cameo stuff is essentially where Mortal Kombat 1 is going to live or die. It's like the thing. People are like, man, I wish you could turn the cameos off. And I'm like, bruh, this would be this game would not be that interesting if the cameos were just disabled. You want the cameos, like, trust me. Because every single time we see something, it's like, Kung Lao grabbing you by the butt cheeks and pulling you closer to the opposition, and like, oh, this is how you get in on that crazy stuff. Or Scorpion's pulling you back so you can do more of your projectile clapping or anything like that. Like, this is if there's actual like different usable assists that don't just attack things, this is where the game's going to get really interesting. So no, I don't. I think this is what makes Mortal Kombat 1 is the cameo stuff, and I don't think it should go away or have a mode where it's not activated.
Yeah,
you're totally right, but I do think they should add that mode in to prove them wrong.
Oh,
like here is that mode. Like have fun. I guess you can have fun with this.
Here's my argument against it. NRS will never put in the time again into a mode that nobody plays, and that is what happened with MK9 Tag Team.
It's a shame.
They put a lot of work into that shit and nobody played it.
That's crazy because it was a pretty good mode too. From like in terms of watching it, like it just looks really good.
It is. It's busted. It had some things that need fixing, but they just completely ignored it for the 1v1 part of the game, which everybody else was playing. And everything we've heard from the developers about the tag team mode was that the online metrics were that nobody was playing it. And nobody was playing it in tournament, so they just stopped supporting it. And from that point forward, they were like, no, like you can't even play, crazy cameo fighters in MK11, which the story mode has and the towers have. I don't even think you can do that like versus each other very much. You think you have to be like limited to the single player stuff. So even there, it's like, no, we're not going to put that much effort into it.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like that across like the board of all fighting games, not just MK1. Like when you look at Street Fighter 6, are people playing Extreme Battle?
Yeah, maybe not.
That's true. That's a good point.
Right? Because like all I could think about is rank match, and then if I don't do rank match, it'll be custom room.
Yeah, but we're weird, bro. We're like the point. We're in the upper fucking top 10,000 of people, like the 0.002%, and
weirdos.
We have to like. Yeah, I would assume that more people play that stuff than they do even the level of ranked that we're playing.
I hope so, because like even when I'm thinking about back the beta. That little corner with the Extreme Battle, I saw nobody sitting there whatsoever.
Sure. Yeah,
no one was at the arcade machines either. No one's at the classic games.
It's true.
Just me playing Final Fight alone, always.
But I think that stuff is valuable still. Like once again, I think the tag mode in MK9 was valuable. I think it adds like that mode is really interesting. It's busted as shit, but it's really fun and crazy. So, as much as I would like to think that they're going to, I wouldn't mind them to do it. More content, the better. And you just disable the cameos, right? Fuck it. Do it. Just don't make it the primary focus of the game.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So going back to MK1, like I know you mentioned like cameos make the game and everything, but I think they're also going to be adding new stuff like with passives. So if you look at the combat cast, they showed off Johnny Cage, and they showed that he had a height meter where it's a little star, and if he does a taunt, he builds it up, and that gives him like kind of like a new activation. He activates it. It's like an install where you could cancel special move into special move into special move.
Bitch gets CVS2 A groove.
Exactly. So that's new. But he also had a second passive where if he techs your grab, he disables your arm and you can't throw for like a few seconds.
So that's...
Dude, that was nuts, and I'm gonna get ahead before Max says it because I know he wants to. Why doesn't everyone else get this?
Yeah, 100%. Why doesn't every other character get crazy, interesting shit like this?
Maybe there will be.
There's a story justification. They're saying that this is a story thing. He does not have magic. He doesn't shoot a ball, so no like fireballs. He needs other shit. Yeah. And I'm like, that's cool, but give it to everyone.
It would be fun if other characters had crazy gimmicks in the same way. And like we played Sub-Zero in the beta, and he don't. Like, he just gets a lot of strings and and specials. That's it. You know.
I don't know. I feel like as the game we get more releases or more trailers or more combat casts, I'm hoping there'll be more passives for all other characters and every character, because it would definitely make the game way more interesting, and then it won't be a situation where like two months down the road, oh, this game sucks. It's only about cameos. You just spam cameos and blah 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 blah. Like you need to give it more crazy stuff. Like the fact that Kenshi's a puppet character, that's super cool.
Yeah, that's a crazy gimmick.
That's a gimmick,
really
right? It's a good gimmick, right? Johnny Cage with his hype meter and everything, and then also like you can't throw for 5 seconds and stuff like that's really cool too. So I'm hoping that other characters get the same flair. Like you said, Sub-Zero, but he doesn't. He's like the same, pretty much the same character, but with like a different like one new move.
But it's weird because it's like you're gonna have a game where some characters have the crazy on-screen gimmicks and gauges, but just like one or two. It's like even Street Fighter 6, like everyone has at least one thing. Some big, way more game-changing than others. But then they're gonna add some. Max, it reminds me of some characters getting ultimates in KI, but a bunch
selective.
didn't.
Yeah, for budgetary reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no budgetary reasons.
Yeah. There's no budgetary reasons on a WB game, man. That's it for sure.
Like, it's cool, but I do agree with Max where it's like, those noises I just made. I don't understand.
To also throw out there, I think from a raw, like casuals play your game and aren't going to understand all this shit. I think it's really funny that you introduce a character that can literally break your arms that prevent your controller from working.
That's
like,
good.
I think that's fucking funny, dude. Like it's funny in a way that I'm like, as somebody that understands the mechanics of games, oh, sure, that's actually kind of a cool gimmick. But for that 99.999% majority of people are playing, Johnny Cage is going to prevent your controller from working, bro. And it's like, this game fucking, what the fuck is going on?
If someone doesn't explain the mechanics of Johnny Cage to someone, they'll literally be like, I need to buy a new controller.
Exactly. Like, it's like there needs to be a big thing on the screen. Excuse me, sir. Johnny Cage broke your arm during that throw tech. Your throw button does no longer work. Like,
what if the character's arm starts limping? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, maybe. Like I could actually see that be like, okay, some sort of visual, or like a message under your life bar, like throws disabled.
There has to be like something that you need. Throwing disabled, like MK9 throwback shit.
Blocking exactly.
Disabled.
It was also weird watching this, especially the combat cast, because it's like they're getting really deep into Scorpion. Then okay, that's enough Scorpion. It's like more,
you just
please.
Started. Yeah, it was weird.
Just started. But yeah, like it. Did you see though? You must have noticed this, that some cameos like Kano's thing sped up. He no longer does the spit thing and just jumps back out.
So they knew, right? Like this stuff. This stuff didn't get changed since Summer Games Fest. Like obviously, like the builds of the game represent several months before we're currently even playing them. And yeah, they knew, bro. Kano was on screen for way too long. Some of the cameo throws took way too long to complete. So yes, from the combat cast, those were sped up, and thank God. They were so sped up that I didn't even notice them anymore. Where it's like, this is an obvious problem when you're looking at those earlier builds and the beta, and I didn't even notice it. Chad had to be like, oh, they sped up Kano. It's like, oh, yeah, the game's just looking normal now. I didn't even realize. So yeah, he zips the fuck out of there now.
Which is
nice.
Probably the number one thing we're talking about. Max, do you have anything to say about mobility in Mortal Kombat at all? You're nothing?
Absolutely
no, okay.
Nothing. It's perfect, huh?
I have zero input. I refuse to talk about it anymore. No, I have nothing to say about mobility and movement in Mortal Kombat.
But, joke as we might, it is kind of a thing that almost on every podcast when we're talking about a new game and we go, how does it feel? What are the, the options for your characters to just move around? Like, it keeps coming back. And like the weird thing with NRS games is that they're always so close to like a breakthrough where this just feels really good. Yeah. Or there's something that's always holding it back, either performance or the way characters just move and shit. And it's just like, this does feel like one of those things where they are making improvements like we talked about in the cameo, but like overall general movement, do you even think that's something they might address at all? Like, do you get that feeling?
I think they will. I think my biggest concern is that they don't do the exact same thing they did with MK11, where a lot of people like bitch and moan that the mobility of block canceling in MK9/MK11 looks really bad. And
it looks janky, yeah.
Well, dude, they had a solution for this, and it was called MKX. Because they just made the characters run. So they're like, fuck it. So ultimately, I hope that they just you can give the game MK9 movement. I'll be happy with that, right? I think a lot of people would be happy with that. But if they just add like block dash canceling, like if they just add like the wave dash sort of thing that MK9/MK11 sort of has, it's kind of uninspired if that's exactly what they do. It feels like there needs to be a little bit more for a game that's all about expression and freedom for the player. Like anybody that's a fighting game player knows that you express yourself in neutral, man. Like that's where combos are really cool for sure. It's the stuff that sells, but like if you use those terms, it really comes down to how you pilot your character. And I'm hoping that they don't need to do MKX movement. That is MKX. That's that game. But I'm hoping they just do something interesting. I just want to see characters sort of moving around the screen and weaving in and out in ways that is fascinating.
Because when you guys officially first played, went on hands with Street Fighter 6, you were all like, and then when I got my hands on, we all kind of agreed, it feels a little slow, but then it's like, under the hood, look at all these fucking green shit. Half the cast has a run, and it feels good to move them around, even though initially it may feel slow compared to like Alpha or Street Fighter 4 or whatever.
And that's the hope, is that like, okay, so maybe the game feels slow because the cameo stuff will make it fast. Exactly. And yeah, that's going to be the case 100%. It will make it faster. But the weird part is that like you need the cameo to speed the game up. You need the game feels slow until you use the cameo, which is a limited usage thing to eventually make it fast. And the cameo doesn't recover like a stamina gauge in previous games. No, it recovers at like half the rate of that. So it just depends on what they're looking for, right? And again, what does that fall back into? It falls back into a game that is completely cameo reliant. That the cameos are what give you mobility. They're what give you your combo extensions. They give you everything. So I'm fascinated because obviously they're doing some really crazy things with the cameos, and gameplay wise, that is going to be super sick. So we'll see, man. If there's the scariest part about it is that they're like, hey, the game's coming out in 3 months. So at that point, you're like, well, there's only so much that you guys can change, right? Like I think I'm kind of wishing the game got delayed in several ways, but we'll see.
But it's not an unsalvageable thing. Like I think they, 3 months left, they can still make some adjustments and some improvements, but not a whole lot, like you said.
Not a ton, but MK11 did go through a lot of changes from its first technical stress test and playable forms. It went through some pretty big mobility changes and stuff like that. So MK11 was the exact same way. For anybody that doesn't know, you only could walk. Dashing was useless. And then they made dashing actually okay. And turned out to be pretty good. It wasn't the speed of like an MK9 or something like that, but still, it was the next closest thing.
Yeah, it's just a good thing that stance change is perfect as the way it is.
Yeah, I'm glad that they opened up the stance change button too, and they really added functional mechanical depth to it. Like that could have been that you could have wasted something else on the stance change button, but the fact that it's there is great.
We Max is not making it to Evo this year. You're doing your big streaming thing of it. Me and Justin, though, if we're there, and MK1 will be there.
I hope there's like a latest build. Oh man.
If Ed is there, we should be like, all the buttons should be stance change. Can we just have a stance change mode?
Yes, just walk, forward, back, duck, jump, stance change everywhere.
Yeah, stance change everywhere.
In the air.
Or it should be like dive kick. It's just the game is just called stance change.
Yes. Matt, you have some great ideas. We should make a fighting game.
Occasionally, sometimes I sort of do, maybe.